Welcome to What Frankly Pierce News. I'm Arthur Fairview. Here's what we're facing.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
No.
Look, in the sky, it's a plane.
It's a bird.
It's a frog!
Really?
Okay, what is it then? A UFO?
No.
A weather balloon?
Now you're getting closer. Would you believe a Chinese spy balloon?
No.
It is balloon.
Well, it's true. These are the facts. On Saturday, January 28th, a Chinese airship, about the size of 3 school buses, entered U.S. airspace north of the Aleutian Islands, then crossed Alaska. It left U.S. airspace, then re-entered over northern Idaho on Tuesday, January 31st. Sources say that is when President Biden was made aware of the situation. And on February 1st, while it was over Montana, President Biden had given authorization to take down the balloon as soon as it was safe to do so. That is when people saw it, and the media made us aware of what the Pentagon and other U.S. officials say was a Chinese spy balloon. On Friday, February 3rd, it was spotted near St. Louis, Missouri, and then when pressed for comment by reporters on the tarmac, Biden responded. On Saturday, February 4th, at approximately 2:39 p.m., the pilot of an Air Force F-22 fired a missile and punctured the balloon, bringing the airship down in shallow water off the coast of South Carolina, where the wreckage could be recovered. Advisors to President Biden suggested it was best to wait until there was no risk of falling debris over habitable sections of the country.
I can see that. How big was the payload?
How much damage could the debris have caused?
According to General Glenn D. Van Herk, who oversees NORAD, estimated it weighed about 2,000 pounds, carried equipment the size of a regional jet, and was about 200 feet tall.
Okay then.
Good call.
On Wednesday, when I was briefed on the balloon, I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, they decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within 12-mile limit. They successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it, and we'll have more to report on this a little later. Thank you.
The Republicans, of course, were losing their minds over this topic as soon as it became public knowledge. Marco Rubio said it was a mistake not to shoot it down while it was over sparsely populated area, and, well, others had similar thoughts conveyed on their favorite social media tool, Twitter.
This would never happen under Trump?
They actually wrote that?
Yes, they did. But according to Forbes and Bloomberg News, it did happen when the failed former president was in office. On multiple occasions, flying over sensitive military sites.
Ooh, that's gonna leave a mark.
Need some ice for that burn?
Next in politics, the biggest name in those who have yet to declare candidacy is
Florida man!
Ron DeSantis.
As Shakespeare wrote, to Trump or not to Trump, that is DeSantis.
Dude, Shakespeare?
Hey, it was funny.
Well, DeSantis is making quite a name for himself, picking up every dirty sock the GOP throws his way, from COVID restrictions and illegal transportation of migrants to LGBTQ discrimination. Here is a quick rundown of his latest actions. Teachers in Florida have removed books from their classrooms or wrapped their bookshelves in paper so that students can't access them in order to avoid being charged with a felony, up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine simply for providing students books that Ron DeSantis and his supporters find offensive.
Ah, book banning.
Any book worth banning is a book worth reading.
Florida House Bill 1467, which took effect as law in July, mandates that school books be age appropriate, free from pornography, and suited to student needs. Books must be approved by a qualified school media specialist who must undergo a state retraining on book collection. Here's one of the qualified media specialists in action.
Smut and filth like this has no place in our schools.
In response, school officials in Manatee and Duval counties have directed teachers to remove or wrap up their classroom libraries, according to records obtained by the Washington Post. This is all due to the guidance issued by the Florida Department of Education after the State Board of Education ruled that a law restricting the books a district may possess applies not only to school-wide libraries, but to teachers' classroom collections too. As long as we are on the subject of education, DeSantis also just banned the teaching of AP African American Studies, a course that covers slavery, the civil rights movement, and much more, saying the course lacked educational value. DeSantis' administration is defending its rejection of the curriculum, while Black religious leaders and elected officials are pledging to fight like hell against the decision. Here's what DeSantis said in a Jacksonville news conference.
We believe in teaching kids facts and how to think, but we don't believe they should have an agenda imposed on them. When you try to use Black history to shoehorn in queer theory, you are clearly trying to use that for political purposes.
Whoa, how did he steer this from African American studies to queer theory?
Maybe more than just the laws of physics cease to exist in DeSantis land.
The College Board revealed that no such forced lessons existed and students must use evidence from conflicting points.
I lied.
Oh, you lied!
And starting last fall, Florida is requiring high school students to submit detailed information about their menstrual cycles to the government in order to be cleared to play school sports.
Really?
Really. These dystopian policies follow on the heels of DeSantis' push to ban abortion, attack and further marginalize trans youth, and ban the teachings of accurate American history in favor of upholding a white supremacist vision of the nation.
Icing on the cake.
Yeah, urinal cake.
Most recently, the organization that oversees all AP courses announced that it had caved to conservative pressure and would remove all mentions of slavery reparations, queer representation, the Black Lives Matter movement, and more from its curriculum.
This is insane.
And finally, his latest stunt, getting on the gas bandwagon.
Maybe Rolaids would help?
No, gas stoves. Some 5 decades worth of studies have found that gas stoves are hazardous to human health, with a recent one suggesting that gas stoves in the U.S. homes may be blamed for nearly 13% of childhood asthma cases. Gas stoves are bad for the environment too, as they are powered by fossil fuels. This has led to some liberal cities, Berkeley, California, New York City, to mandate that some new buildings use electric over gas.
Okay, I can see that.
Agreed. You learn things, you make changes going forward. I get that.
But the blistering gas stove dispute really ignited when a commissioner at the Consumer Product Safety Commission, Richard Trumka Jr., told Bloomberg that gas was a hidden hazard and that when it came to banning gas stoves, any option is on the table. Products that can't be made safe can be banned.
You, the right-wing firestorm.
Multiple prominent conservatives and right-wing politicians once again took to social media and tweeted some different versions of the same spoon-fed message.
This is quite the heated debate.
Now you're cooking with gas.
They seem to miss the fact that this was a discussion on future gas stoves, not existing ones. Not to be outdone, DeSantis made this interesting announcement.
And we just added, because I think it needs to be done, no tax permanently on gas stoves. They want your gas stove, and we're not going to let that happen. And we're not even a state. The way Florida was built, a lot of this wasn't even connected to gas lines. You got a lot of electric stuff. But it's just the principle of, this is ridiculous that they do want to go after it. They got blowback, so they kind of had to back off. They want to go after the gas stoves. And so we're saying, we want you to be able to buy those.
So, in the end, the key takeaway from all of this is get 6% off your gas range when you use the coupon code DeSantis.
I give up.
I think I need a drink.
We'll be right back after this word from our sponsor.
Notice the color, the aroma, a nice roundness to its mouthfeel. Aromatic, never bitter. Sweet vanilla and mellowed oak with a welcoming amount of heat. That is the quintessential bourbon. Blackened Barn, the quintessential bourbon.
Wait a minute. We have a real sponsor?
Do we?
Yes, we do.
We do.
We do.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Now, as the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished.
I thought it was every good boy deserves fudge.
Or a stitch in time.
If I may continue. Minnesota utilities would be obligated to transition to 100% carbon-free electricity by 2040 to step up the fight against climate change under a bill speeding through the legislature.
Oh, so this is the good news segment?
So how is that good deed punished?
The bill has prompted a lawsuit threat from North Dakota.
Oofta.
You can say that again.
I'd rather not.
The bill passed the Senate 34-33 on Thursday night after passing the House 70-60 last week. It's a top priority for the Democrats' climate agenda. The Senate's two meteorologists, Senators Nicole Mitchell and Robert Kupek, detailed how climate change is accelerating across Minnesota. They said it's leading to more extreme weather events as well as hotter summers with more droughts and warmer winters.
The truth hurts.
Leading to shorter ice fishing seasons.
It's butt cold out here, and I'm fresh out of beer.
Senate Republicans said they plan to offer a long list of amendments that they said would reduce the cost to consumers and risk to the power grid. But the one-seat Democratic majority held firm on the first several votes.
Nothing better than an overwhelming majority.
GOP critics in Minnesota have dubbed it the blackout bill, saying it will undermine the reliability of the state's power grid, in addition to forcing consumers to pay higher energy costs. Republican North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and other top officials in his state threatened to sue Minnesota if the bill is enacted, saying it would prevent North Dakota utilities from continuing to export power generated from coal and gas to Minnesota.
See, it's all about the Benjamins.
And exporting all those wonderful emissions.
Still making headlines are the continuing discoveries of classified documents in private residencies of past and present government officials.
Gotta love a good paper trail.
Failed former President Donald Trump, former Vice President Mike Pence, and current President Joe Biden have all been under investigation for documents found at their private homes.
Probably more to come.
Right you are. Now you can add the name of a well-known news anchor to that list.
Ooh, I hope it's Tucker Carlson.
Too much to hope for.
No, as nice as that would be, it's not Tucker Carlson. Officials have now announced that unspecified documents have been discovered at the residence of this well-known and respected journalist.
The name?
Yes, who is it?
Officials have named one Arthur...
What was that?
Yeah, you kind of garbled it.
Arthur...
Is there something wrong with his mic?
Flywheel. Yes, that's it, Flywheel.
Arthur Flywheel? Who's he broadcast for?
Oh, you know, good old Art Flywheel, big broadcaster.
Flywheel?
Yes, Flywheel. We'll have more on that story as it develops. Now, let's take a gander at the latest in our continuing segment.
The deuce you say.
The dodo bird isn't coming back anytime soon, nor is the woolly mammoth. But a company working on technologies to bring back extinct species have attracted more investors, while other scientists are skeptical such feats are possible or a good idea.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
In fact, this sounds all too familiar.
Colossal Biosciences first announced its ambitious plan to revive the woolly mammoth 2 years ago, and on Tuesday said it wanted to bring back the dodo bird too.
Really?
Why the dodo?
Ben Lamb, a serial entrepreneur and a co-founder and CEO of Colossal, explained, the dodo is a symbol of man-made extinction. The last dodo, a flightless bird about the size of a turkey, was killed in 1681 on the Indian Ocean island of Mauritius.
I still don't see how bringing back the dodo is going to make money.
Does the name Michael Crichton mean anything to these people?
According to Lamb, the prospect of bringing the dodo back isn't expected to directly make money, but the genetic tools and equipment that the company develops to try to do it may have other uses, including for human health care.
What could possibly go wrong?
Colossal is now testing tools to tweak several parts of the genome simultaneously. It's working on technologies for what is sometimes called an artificial womb. Apparently, the dodo's closest living relative is pigeon.
Oi!
Sorry, the Nicobar pigeon, which is also related to the extinct Rodriguez solitaire. They plan to study DNA differences between the Nicobar pigeon and the dodo to understand the genes that really make a dodo a dodo. They may then attempt to edit Nicobar pigeon cells to make them resemble dodo cells.
A full DNA strand contains 3 billion genetic codes. If we looked at screens like these once a second for 8 hours a day, it'd take 2 years to look at the entire DNA strand. It's that long. It's full of holes. Now that's where our geneticists take over.
It may then be possible to put the tweak cells into developing eggs of other birds, such as pigeons or chickens, to create offspring that may in turn naturally produce dodo eggs.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
Why does no one ever listen to the chaostician?
What do you want, a plot or logic?
I know what you're thinking. Well, other scientists wonder if it's even advisable to try, and question whether de-extinction diverts attention and money away from efforts to save species still on Earth. According to Duke University ecologist Stuart Pym, there's a real hazard in saying that if we destroy nature, we can just put it back together again. Because we can't. And where on earth would you put a woolly mammoth other than a cage?
Life, finds a way.
It has been 763 days since the January 6th attack on our Capitol and our democracy, and failed former President Trump has still not been indicted or charged with anything. This has been my Frankly Fierce News. Thanks for watching. I'm Arthur Fairview. Each line we throw gives us false hope. One ray of light, God, I can't cope. Thinking about what we all are. One human race that's gone too far. Facing the wind.
Thank you.